Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lauren Ravon. I'm the Executive Director of Oxfam Canada. I'm here today with my colleague Bushra Khalidi, Policy Lead for Oxfam in the Occupied Palestinian Territories, Dr. Ge, and Member of Parliament Alexandre Boulerice. Together, we're calling on the federal government to end its complicity in Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people and to amplify the voices of Canadians who are saying, "Not in my name." Launched last week by Oxfam Canada, the Not in My Name campaign has united more than 100 prominent Canadians, including actors, scholars, business leaders, and activists, who are calling on the federal government to immediately halt arms sales to Israel and to take urgent diplomatic and legal actions to end the genocide. This morning, each of the speakers will share brief remarks, after which we will conclude and then open the floor for questions. I'll start with Bushra.
Thank you. Thank you and good morning. I'm speaking to you today not only as Oxfam's policy lead in the Occupied Palestinian Territory in Israel, but as a Palestinian woman and a humanitarian worker. For me, it's not abstract. This is my life. My family's home last year in East Jerusalem was taken by settlers, and my relatives are in Gaza, have endured 2 years of unrelenting assault. My colleagues in Gaza continue to risk their lives to deliver aid under impossible conditions. And it is personal in another way. Just last week, as I left Ramallah to come here, I dropped my son at school and then I headed to the airport. On the road out, I saw a long line of Israeli military vehicles entering Ramallah in broad daylight. This is the reality we live in. Every road is cut off, every movement requires permits, and every neighborhood is patrolled. That is the daily experience of Palestinians under Israeli military occupation, even as we sit here in Canada talking about recognition of Palestine. Recognition matters, but for us, recognition has to translate into a change in this lived reality. We're now 24 months into Israel's war on Gaza. Let us be clear. What we're witnessing is not simply a humanitarian catastrophe. Oxfam has joined the UN Commission of Inquiry and a growing number of human rights organizations in concluding that this is genocide. Entire neighborhoods have been wiped off the map. 2 million people face acute food insecurity. Nearly 500,000 are in famine. 500,000 are starving in full view of the international community. Hospitals have been flattened, schools destroyed, water systems deliberately decimated, whole generations of children have been killed, displaced, or left without parents. This is not collateral damage. It is the systematic destruction of a people. Canada's recognition of Palestine is an important and historic step. It reflects a recognition of our shared humanity and the right of Palestinians to live in freedom and dignity. But Palestinians cannot afford for this to be symbolic. After 2 years of relentless war, recognition without action risks deepening the sense of betrayal we already feel. Canada must therefore move from words to deeds, pressing for a permanent ceasefire, ensuring Canadian arms exports are not complicit in atrocity crimes, and banning trade with illegal settlements. These are practical, principled steps that would demonstrate Canada is committed to turning recognition into real accountability. But let us also be honest. This is not only about Palestine. What is at stake here is whether the international rules Canada has defended for decades still mean anything. If international law does not protect Palestinians, then it will not protect anyone. If starvation, forced displacement, and genocide can take place with impunity, the entire global system Canada has invested in peacekeeping, humanitarian law, multilateralism collapses. This matters for Canadians. It matters because Canada's credibility is on the line. It matters because instability in the Middle East fuels wider regional wars, displacement, and insecurity that reach far beyond Gaza. And it matters because Canadians see themselves as a people who stand for fairness and justice and humanity. So to stay silent or to stop at symbolic recognition is to betray those very values. The suffering on the ground is staggering. Families are trapped with no safe place to go. Parents are having to choose which child to try to save. The elderly are dying of hunger. Children are eating animal feed. Surgeries are performed without anesthesia. These are no scenes no parent, no child, no community should ever endure. And in the West Bank, communities are facing record demolition, settlement expansion, and daily settler violence. I say this because behind every number is a human being, someone like my son, someone like your children, who deserve the chance to live in safety and dignity. This is not only about Palestine. If international law does not protect Palestinians, it will not protect anyone. What is at stake here is whether the global rules Canada has defended for decades still mean anything. If starvation, forced displacement, and genocide can take place with impunity, then the entire international system Canada has invested in peace collapses. Humanitarian aid is essential, but aid cannot stop bombs. Aid cannot rebuild demolished homes. Aid cannot replace rights. Without tackling the root causes of Israel's occupation, blockade, and the denial of self-determination, humanitarian assistance will remain nothing more than a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So let me close with this. Palestinians are not asking for special treatment. We're asking for justice, for equal rights, and for protection under the very laws that Canada helped build after the horrors of the last century. 2 years into a genocidal war, words are no longer enough. Recognition is a first step, but Canada must now match that recognition with bold, principled action that can help end our nightmare and open the door to a just peace. Thank you.
It's an honor to join the In My Name, Not in My Name campaign, because there are hundreds, if not thousands and tens of thousands of Canadians who say, not in my name. Not in my name with respect to my Canadian taxpayer dollars, our governments, our companies, our universities, our institutions, in funding and subsidizing Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. I had the privilege of working in Gaza last year as a family doctor, working in multiple primary care clinics in central Rafah. And I don't know if the children and the healthcare workers that I worked with in these clinics are alive to this day. I suspect many of them have already perished because of forced starvation, the impacts of famine, and the ongoing bombardments and direct attacks on healthcare. My healthcare worker colleagues shared food with me during the clinics that we worked in together. They encouraged me to eat and to keep my energy up so we could see more patients. The same healthcare workers do not have food now, cannot feed themselves nor their families, and they're working on an empty stomach night and day to continue doing what they can to take care of their community, their patients that are experiencing annihilation, extermination. Our colleagues in North Gaza right now are experiencing, again, attacks on healthcare, on their hospitals. And we keep doing the same things. We keep doing the press conferences, we keep doing the petitions, we keep doing the letters, because that is our responsibility to do. But I urge everyone to do more. Please. This is the moral issue and question of our time. This is the Holocaust of our time. I think not only our humanity, but everyone's humanity depends on how we respond in this moment in solidarity, in full, unwavering solidarity with Palestinians and their right to life, self-determination, liberation from their illegal military occupier, Israel, in committing now genocide. But Palestinians have been telling us for decades and generations that what they've experienced is settler colonialism, is genocide. And as a Canadian citizen, I've had the privilege of studying settler colonialism in Palestine by visiting the West Bank and now visiting Gaza, while my own Palestinian friends, colleagues, who were born in exile as refugees have not had the privilege, their right fulfilled to return to Palestine, their traditional indigenous homelands. There's so much more that we can do. So please do everything that you can, because we are in the belly of the imperial beast. that is facilitating, that is sending arms and weapons to Israel to continue to genocide Palestinians in Gaza and forcibly displace and ethnically cleanse entire villages in the West Bank.
Merci, Dr. G, thank you. Merci à Oxfam Canada pour l'invitation, mais également pour la campagne, cette importante campagne Not in My Name, qui mobilise des milliers de Canadiens et de Québécois dans ces temps extrêmement difficiles où on constate et on est des témoins horrifiés d'un génocide qui se poursuit depuis maintenant près de 2 ans à Gaza. Hier, le premier ministre Carney était à New York, a fait un discours devant les Nations unies où il a annoncé que le Canada reconnaissait l'État de Palestine. On ne se le cachera pas, c'est une victoire politique et diplomatique. C'est un pas dans la bonne direction. C'est quelque chose que nous, on demandait depuis maintenant des années. Mais ce n'est pas suffisant. Ce n'est pas la fin, ce n'est que le commencement. Et ensuite de ça, le gouvernement fédéral a la responsabilité, selon le droit international, d'être cohérent puis d'être logique dans la protection du peuple palestinien, dans la protection des droits de la personne. Parce qu'on a fait un discours aux Nations unies, c'est bien, mais aujourd'hui encore, la famine sévit à Gaza, la violence des colons extrémistes en Cisjordanie se poursuit, les bombardements se poursuivent, des familles, des femmes et des enfants se font encore tuer, parfois se font tuer par des snipers alors qu'ils essayent d'aller chercher de la nourriture pendant qu'ils sont affamés. Le Canada et le gouvernement libéral de Mark Carney doivent en faire plus pour mettre de la pression sur le régime Netanyahou. Et ça a été dit, il y a des gestes concrets qui peuvent être posés. Cesser de vendre des armes au régime Netanyahou, faire des sanctions qui sont significatives et sévères. Ensuite de ça, faire des pressions commerciales et économiques sur l'État d'Israël. Ensuite de ça, faire de la pression pour qu'il y ait de l'aide humanitaire qui se rende sur place, un cessez-le-feu, libérer les otages. Et ensuite de ça, travailler à rebâtir les infrastructures palestiniennes pour que la vie soit possible là-bas. Parce que c'est aussi ça le problème. Il y a 65 000 Palestiniens qui sont fait massacrer jusqu'à maintenant, mais 70 % des infrastructures à Gaza sont démolies. Pratiquement tous les hôpitaux, il n'y a plus d'université, il n'y a plus d'école, il n'y a plus rien. C'est bien de reconnaître l'État palestinien, mais il va falloir qu'il existe dans la réalité. Ça veut dire la paix, 2 États côte à côte qui vivent dans la sécurité, mais il va falloir rebâtir la vie, même la possibilité d'une vie collective en Palestine. So, thank you, Oxfam Canada, for this important campaign, Not in My Name, who's able to mobilize, thousands of Canadians that want to say to the federal government, you need to do more. Yesterday, Prime Minister Carney was in New York to make a speech to say that Canada finally recognized the state of Palestine. It's a victory. It's a political and diplomatic victory, and we've been asking for that for many, many years. But that's not enough. It's not the end. It's only a start. And now the Liberals of Mr. Carney have to do what is next necessary steps, it must have consequence for the Israel government to continue a genocide in Gaza and a forced famine. We should be able to implement measures that will put pressure on the Netanyahu regime. First, we need to stop selling arms to this genocidal government. We need to put real sanctions on the economy and the trade of this country. We need to stop the illegal settlements in the West Bank. We need to bring food to those people who are, starving and they are, they die because of hunger. And they are bombed still every day or shot by snipers. We need to act on all those fronts to defend the human rights of the Palestinian people, the right to self-determination, and the right to live in peace and security. And we need to think about after the ceasefire, after the peace, we need to reconstruct Palestine. If they need to have their own state, but a real state with the infrastructure that is able make life possible in those areas. So there's a lot of things to do now, and we are asking and urging the Carney government to do more and to do what is responsible and needed after this recognition of the State of Palestine. Thank you.
It's been almost 2 years since the start of the war in Gaza. We are repeating many of the same things that we've said over the past 2 years, but we will not stop talking about Gaza and Palestine, and that's why we're here today. Tens of thousands of people have been killed, entire neighborhoods have been destroyed, hospitals, sanitation systems have entirely collapsed, and millions are facing starvation and mass displacement. The world's leading genocide scholars have recently declared that Israel's policies and actions in Gaza meet the legal definition of genocide. And in the West Bank, Palestinians are experiencing escalating violence, displacement, and repression, as Bushra has spoken to. And yet we know that Canada continues to authorize arms sales to Israel and has failed to take meaningful action, real concrete steps to end the genocide. Not only do we need to keep up the pressure, we need to become even louder, impossible to ignore. We need to let the government know that we do not condone inaction, that we will not stay silent in the face of this genocide, and that we will hold it accountable to its international human rights obligations. Oxfam's Not in My Name campaign is a call for Canada to suspend arms exports to Israel, to support international investigations into alleged war crimes, and to realign Canada's foreign policy with the values of peace, justice, and human dignity. Oxfam has worked in the occupied Palestinian territories for decades. We have seen the devastating impact of violence and the blockade. We have also seen the resilience of communities under siege. And we have seen also how international solidarity can make a real difference. As Canadians, today we are saying not in my name. Thank you. Are there any questions?
There's no question in the room, and there's no reporter online, so this will come to the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you.